Election day is fast approaching, and the race between Democratic Congressman Rick Nolan and Republican challenger Stuart Mills in what has become a swing district is one of the country's top 5 races in terms of outside spending. We decided to take a closer look at some of the issues in this year's District 8 congressional race. Tonight, our Scott Sheehan goes more in depth with the candidates about gun policy.
The 2 top candidates running to represent Minnesota's 8th district in Washington, D.C. have a history of guns. Congressman Rick Nolan, who's running for re-election, is a duck hunter, while Republican challenger Stuart Mills' company sells guns. We asked both candidates about their gun policies. We contacted Mr. Mills' campaign team requesting an interview. They said Mr. Mills' schedule was too full for an interview, but gave us this statement. "I'll defend our constitutional rights, including the Second Amendment. Politicians like Rick Nolan would rather create new laws taking away our right to bear arms, rather than enforcing ones we already have. His votes and positions against the Second Amendment are the reasons why he's F-rated by the NRA.
I believe very firmly and strongly in the Second Amendment, but I don't have a problem with background checks for people who've been adjudicated as violently criminal or people with mental illness, particularly of a violent nature. So I don't have a problem with background checks, and I don't understand why some people like my opponent do.
A 2013 Bradley report says 7 of the top 10 states that have the strictest gun laws also had the lowest gun death rate, while all 10 of the top 10 states with the weakest gun laws had the highest gun death rate.
It's very important that law-abiding citizens that want to acquire and carry a firearm are allowed to do that, but it's as important that tools are available for law enforcement, such as background checks, to ensure that people who are not qualified or not law-abiding citizens are not able to carry a firearm or acquire a firearm.
Well, first of all, it's very difficult to compare Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago, let alone St. Paul, Minneapolis, to Utah and Wyoming. It's just hard to compare those states. I think a few background checks to keep hands out of murders and terrorists and violent criminals and people who might be violently insane, that's just common sense. It's reasonable.
When we emailed Mr. Mills' campaign team the same question about the states with weaker gun laws having a higher gun death rate, Mr. Mills chose not to answer the question in his statement, but rather restated his previously quoted gun policy. Scott Sheehan, Lakeland News.
And tomorrow night we'll air our second piece about the candidates' issues, which will focus on health care.
If you've enjoyed this segment of Lakeland News, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution to Lakeland Public Television.